There we go. All right, go ahead.
All right, just to start, why did you decide to play MCLA?
Yeah, so I actually was like a burnout for lacrosse in high school. Like I just didn't want to play anymore. So I actually didn't play in undergrad, but I went to graduate school at Bethel. So my old high school coach found out I was there and was like, "Hey, you need to come play." So I honestly, it was just an opportunity to get back in the game and be a part of what I was missing while in undergrad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. So how did you become the head coach at Minnesota, and how long have you been a part of the program there?
So that one also very weird and sideways story. So let's see here. I've been coaching since 2015, not at the U at all. I was at Kennedy High School, which is just a local, I don't even want to say suburb, but like a less well off city school, but yet has some wealthier parts to it. Got hooked up with a club team, Team Minnesota, which is one of the premier programs, if not the premier program out of Minnesota. A lot of D1 recruits and everything. Couple kids who I coached during their time at Team Minnesota were like, we need to make a change. We're moving on. The old head coach, Rich Limpert, was making his move from being the head coach to kind of shifting what he wanted to do, be around his kids more. Just step down from running a full-time program. Yeah. So what I ended up doing is I applied 2 years ago, realized that getting a doctorate, having a second kid, full-time job, and doing a head coaching gig wasn't the right choice for me. So I took myself out of the running. You know, COVID hit. So obviously I got out at the right time. And then right at the end of the, the 20 season, a couple of the guys were like, "Hey, staff isn't exactly what we're feeling. We need some leadership. Would you be willing to come in and make some changes? Because we think we have some guys that can make some moves." So I said, yeah, I'd love to apply. I'd love to talk and be a part of the opportunities that could be going on with the U. I know there's a lot of history there for a program that's been around since the 80s, but at the same time, it's gone through, like every program, gone through its ups and downs. Mm-hmm. So I just finished my first year last year. So it was wild for a first year.
Yeah, I can imagine. You guys had a season though, so that's a positive.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned the history of the program too. Are you guys involved with alumni of the team, and what's your relationship with Minnesota lacrosse alumni?
So I would say historically, there's always been the goal to have an alumni association. We do have a lot of connections to alumni. I would say we use that more as as a method to help kids get internships and things of that nature, rather than hey, check us out, like this giant alumni sort of brand. It's very much like I'm connected with a lot of alumni just from like playing in men's league. My men's league team is all U of M alumni, which is cool for the most part. So I would say guys that have graduated since 2010, I know fairly well. And I know a few guys prior to that, like the early 2000s, but outside of that, unless they're reaching out to me, it's not like we have this giant network, but yet the guys we do have that are highly connected are all about the team. So it's great.
It's good to hear.
So this past year, you guys went to Arizona and it looks like you've been to like California and Colorado recently. So how do you kind of like afford those trips? Is it through dues or through fundraising?
Both. So last year was pretty much all dues with a little bit of fundraising. In years prior, we have done a ton of fundraising, your GoFundMe's, all of that type of stuff. Heading into next year, we're doing a lot of fundraising, a lot of events, a lot of opportunities for guys, like working different, like we had guys working the PLL games when they were here last weekend. We have, we'll have like a giant fundraising, like hot dog stand sale going into a couple of the football games in the fall. So that'll be fun having those back. We do a pig roast. We're going to do something called a goal-a-thon where we kind of raise money through that for ourselves and for a charity to be determined in the fall. Once we get everybody back, we'll vote on a charity we want to raise money for, whether that's mental health, cancer research, bunch of different things. We like to focus on stuff outside of just ourselves. But for the most part, it comes through dues. But dues and fundraising is kind of where we do a lot of our damage. We do keep a big roster, which allows us to travel a bit more just because we bus for the most part, but we're trying to move away from that and do more of a one long trip and get all those out of conference games that allows us to qualify for nationals.
Mhm.
And so how many kids do you usually have on the team?
Let's see here. It varies, like any club. You never know what you're going to get necessarily. I think right now, no matter what, we'll always cap at 50. Last year, I think we were sitting around 43. We got an incoming class of roughly 10 to 12 guys. So depending on what transfers look like and things of that nature, yeah, we'll cap no matter what at 50. But I know in years past, they've been down to like mid 30s. So yeah, like any MCLA team, it can fluctuate at any given time.
Yeah. Have you ever had to make cuts at all, or is usually just enough kids show up?
I haven't, and I don't think historically they have. I don't want to make cuts. So if we ever do something of that nature, it'll be more of like hey, you can be on the non-travel squad or things of that nature, just because once you get over 50, the busing changes. And then it also affects like how many hotels can necessarily hold you and how many kids you have to put in a hotel room. So just logistically, it changes how things are once you get above that 50 number.
So you mentioned the 12 or 13 incoming freshmen next year. So you guys actively recruit these kids, or is it kids who just are coming to Minnesota, or is it kind of a mix of both?
Historically, they have not been huge on recruiting. They've just, we're a big school. We're a Big Ten, like you guys, a lot of people are, we're also a massive school, 50,000 kids. So a lot of people are coming this direction. I would say this year I did actively recruit a number of kids, both in the transfer portal and those who are incoming freshmen. We've got a few, for the most part, we're Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota kids, couple North Dakota. I think next year we'll have a couple Michigan kids, a couple kids from like San Diego, where I was like, what are you doing? Let's talk about what buying a coat means, because we're gonna need to get you like super expensive all the way down to the feet sort of coat, get you ready for what winter actually is.
Yeah, definitely. We're both from the Northeast, but the Midwest winter is definitely something else out here too.
We get cold. Luckily we have a dome, so
yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, we've played in that dome before too. You guys are lucky to have that one full size field too. We're stuck with like a 3/4 size field dome, so it works for the winter, but then you go onto a full size field and it's a completely different game.
For sure.
Yeah. So a lot of your roster is from Minnesota too. Do you think it helps to have kids who might have known each other and grown up playing together too, and just having the home state base, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have a number of kids that play club together. That's been huge for us. Or kids that have played high school, obviously, together. So there's a little continuity. Luckily, we have a system that we've started to run that the guys have really latched on to. So instead of having, your basic triangle rotations, we have option pairs. We have all this rotation things, which allow kids to really thrive in what they personally do well. So luckily it's not like, oh, well, I did this in high school. Oh, okay. Well, let's fit that into what we're already doing and make it even better. So it's been great.
And you also mentioned the dome. So is that like part of the school's athletic facilities? And do you guys get to use any of the other weight rooms and any other facilities that the NCAA teams get to use?
No, so we actually have, so the dome we have is actually for club sports and student use. So that's pretty great.
Yeah.
We don't really have anything outside of that. We get a little bit of funding. We get a little bit of support from the school, obviously, to be able to use colors, logos, all that stuff. But it's not, we're not getting like locker rooms or any of that crazy stuff. So
yeah,
we're not, Liberty or any of those other schools, BYU or what's another, Chapman. We're not any of that. So we get what we get, and we're thankful for what we get. I think that's it's more than some and less than others, and that's just kind of how it is.
I feel like that's what the MCLA is really supposed to be about too. None of these fancy locker rooms or anything like that.
For sure.
So how often are you guys practicing as a team? I know COVID might have made it a little bit more difficult, but throughout the fall and winter and spring, what does a practice schedule look like?
So we were doing 2 days a week, both fall and spring. Next year we'll go about 6 to 8 weeks, 2 days a week in the fall. And then in the spring, we'll do about 8 weeks of 3 times a week. And then once we get into like heavy game season, we'll drop back down to 2. Just still maintain that we're club. We're not out here looking for 5 days a week or anything, but we're also looking to compete with some of those squads that are, more known nationally.
And along with that, do you guys have film sessions or team lifts, or is that kind of more just stuff you can do on your own?
Yeah, we're updating. They have never had that in the past. We'll do some film session stuff where the coaches and I will cut clips and do all of that stuff to get guys so they have the opportunity to look at stuff just to see what other squads are doing. As a first-year head coach last year, and with COVID, I thought the film was meh, obviously with what everyone has is so different. You never know what you're going to see. And because you didn't have the 20 season, like film wasn't as important as it's going to be going forward. But we've exchanged film, but some coaches' abilities for filming is really poor. We invested a ton of money this year into our filming stuff just so we can live stream and do everything for families. So I think personally, film is cool, but it's not what it could be just because of the equipment that some programs are using.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're still working on that ourselves too. Had our struggles, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Always a work in progress.
Mhm. What was I thinking?
Kind of back to the NCAA stuff. I saw an article back in 2017 with your old coach Rich, and he was talking about you guys like potentially going D1 or like having talks about it. Is that kind of still going on, or you just kind of focusing on being the best MCLA team?
Well, the school just cut 5 D1 programs, so I'm thinking that ship sailed. They cut men's track, indoor and outdoor, men's swim and dive. Like they were cutting things left and right. So I'm not thinking we're gonna be adding men's lacrosse anytime soon. I mean, it would be cool. I mean, obviously, but I think right now our goal is to just be a self-sustaining MCLA program where we could be fully endowed, where we can have our own facility, work towards just maintaining that club status, but yet having some of the things that Division I programs are getting. Not making it so we get to the point where we're not having dues, like, hey, if you're in the top 35, you don't pay to be on the team. You're just good to be. So yeah, I think that's more of our focus now. I think with COVID and the fact that Big Ten football didn't have a full season and all of the funding that goes in with that, I can't have that expectation of this is what 10 years will be D1. I can't say that. I can say in the next 5 years, I hope we're the UMLC powerhouse. I think that's where our expectation is. And I expect us to compete at the national tournament every year while we're here, but not worrying about what'll be, I don't think that's our goal today by any means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Control what you can control, I guess. Right.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And so you brought up Big Ten football, so I kind of have to ask this now. Did you happen to catch the Minnesota Purdue game last fall?
I didn't. So little hidden secret. I mean, I love football. I've never been a Minnesota sports fan until I got hired. So like I'm just getting into it. When I picked my whatever, I married a diehard Husker fan. So I've been living the Husker life. But definitely now I'm going to have to be catching all of the Gopher games. I caught probably half of them last year, but it's also really hard when you got 2 kids under 3.
Yeah.
There's no sitting down and watching a game. Thank God YouTube TV lets me record. We can pause and all right, I'll come back. Like I think I've watched like 3 PLL games and they've all been like I watch a quarter. Okay, I pause. Bye. Like come back 10 hours later and watch another half or another quarter before I have to go see something else. So, I need to watch more clearly. Hopefully this year I'll make it to a couple with the guys. So that'll be fun. But I did not see the Purdue game.
Okay. There were some questionable calls at the end, and I was just wondering if you hadn't seen it,
if it went in our favor, it was clearly the right call.
It
That's all I got. I mean, it was clearly,
you got to say that. I get it. You have to say that.
I mean, all refs are human. They make mistakes, but hopefully with replay, they can fix some things. But
that's good.
I mean, we all know how reffing is in lacrosse, so you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, these Midwest refs is one of the saying. Hopefully none of them see this, but yeah, I think we all have some opinions on the refs. Everybody who played sports ever has some opinions on refs. I feel like that's
for sure. Yeah. For sure. And with the lacrosse community being so small, I know, especially in Minnesota, I know all the refs like for years. So it's like, come on, man. Like we both know this is a call. Like, let's not joke around. Stop it.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
hmm Kind of pivoting back to lacrosse in Minnesota too. So you used to coach at a high school too. Do you or your team still volunteer or do anything with any other youth programs or summer programs or anything like that?
Yeah, so the guys are pretty spread out. A bunch of them coach. Our goal is to give obviously back to our community for lacrosse. We work with a program called Homegrown. A number of guys work with them, whether it's coaching or or working tables, or working the scorers tables or any of those opportunities. We're always involved. I think I have like 6 of our guys coach club right now. But coming into this fall, obviously with ideally no COVID restrictions or anything going on, we're going to definitely be more active. I know going into freshman orientation, we're going to help people move into dorms, do things of that nature, just get our name out there, make sure we give lacrosse a positive light. I don't think at every school or historically the lacrosse teams are always looked at they're kind of just bros, but we want to make sure that they know that we're something that cares about the school. We care about our community. We care about the things that we're involved in, and we're more than just lacrosse. I think what's special about the team we have right now is some of our guys have been going through some stuff, whether it's mental health or family health issues. And it's a community. We put up a GoFundMe for one of our players' parents who was struggling with some things, and it took off. Our goal was $5,000. I think we got to 17 in like a week and a half, because that's how cool the lacrosse community is in Minnesota. And I think obviously it's going to show in the way that we play, and the guys that we get to have come out is that we're going to continue to have an outstanding program.
That's great to hear. I don't know if that GoFundMe is still going on, but we can find it, or if you want to send it to us after this, we can try and spread that out too.
For sure.
We're one lacrosse community, so definitely want to help out with that. Let me see. So if you're talking,
so if you were
go ahead. I think we're going
you
the
go,
same.
Tommy.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna, if you were talking to a high school kid who was trying to decide between playing at Minnesota or another MCLA school and trying to play D2 or D3, what would you kind of say to them to help them out?
So I have a lovely recruiting pitch. It's really impressive. I talk to all these kids that play for these incredible club teams. I go, listen, chase the dream if you want to chase the dream. I'm all for supporting you. Let me help you get there. If you don't like it and you want to come back, I got a spot for you, and we're going to compete for a national championship at the MCLA level. Other MCLA schools, if you want to go south and get out of the cold, totally get it. But staying here provides an education that few other schools in the country can provide. That's one of the hardest things about recruiting in Minnesota, is that you have to have grades. Like if you have below a 3.3, like it's not happening. I had a recruit have a 3.75 and he didn't get in because his ACT score wasn't good enough. It's just stuff like that. It's really hard. I think the one thing for me as I talk to recruits is don't stop playing. Like the game is, I'm 33. I love the game still. I still play in men's league. It's one of my favorite things. Like I love coaching. I love being a part of it. Don't miss the opportunity to keep playing. Not everybody is cut out for D1. Not everybody's cut out for D2. D3 sure. I mean, if you want to go play that, that's awesome. I will argue that we will provide a more fun time playing with us and get more wins than playing at some no-name D3 that's just getting started. But also at the same time, you got to find the fit that's for you. If you look at MCLA schools, especially in Minnesota, we have a number of them with high pedigrees in MCLA D2, but they're also, 30,000 less students than us. You want to go to a small school and know all your teachers and do all that and not be in Minneapolis, St. John's. You want to go to a slightly bigger school and, still get away and, you got UMD. You want to leave the state, but still not be more than 6 hours away. There's NDSU. I mean, there's so many options. Now, am I going to say that I think our school is a better option? Hell yeah. I mean, we're a Big Ten school. We have all these programs. We can literally offer any degree program you want. Lots of opportunities, lots of things where you can just literally go out and be like, all right, I want to see this. Deal. I got a student right now has this awesome coaching gig at the U where he's working with the football team pretty much full time and getting essentially a coaching degree. Like, how cool is that? You can't say that that's not worth something and then be like, oh, I wanted to get into full-time football coaching, but I went to St. Thomas. Okay. Are they going to offer a full-time, know what a real Division I is? They're going D1. Okay, whatever. But they'd get smoked. Like, let's be real. You get to learn from PJ Fleck and the whole crowd they got going. That's an opportunity of a lifetime. So there are some awesome things that come with coming and being a Gopher. You just got to tell kids that and drop the little info for them and let them make their own choices. And not every kid's going to stay where they want to. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. I've got one more question for you. Minnesota, when I think of Minnesota personally, I think of hockey. And one thing that I think is growing nationally too, and pretty similar to hockey, is box lacrosse. So is that something that's growing a lot in Minnesota right now? Especially
Yes.
Influence?
Yep. So I actually play in the IBLA. I'm on the Wheat Kings. So we have 2 coaches on the Wheat Kings and 2 players. I love box. I think in my offense, we are running box systems, being able to do screens, working off ball, lots of touches, keeping it moving. And with the shot clock, it's even more like box. Minnesota's huge for box lacrosse. I think, especially, what do we got? 4 IBLA teams right now. So 4 semi-professional teams. The Wheat Kings have 5 or 6 current or former NLL players on the team. And 1 Team Canada guy, or was Team Canada. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, they finished 2nd in nationals last year, and we're looking to make another run to nationals this year. So I think as we're going forward and looking at the game, especially at the D1 level where you got, John Grant Jr. at Johns Hopkins, all about box. Like, he loves it, loves the field and the box game. Look at, in my opinion, the best field player in the world. You can go 1A, 1B, Tom Schreiber, Lyle Thompson, both play both. I mean, they're so different, but yet so similar. It's crazy. The just feel of the game and the amount of touches you get just dramatically changes what you can do with a stick.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, Andrew?
No, I think that kind of answers all my questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking some time out of your night to talk with us, and wishing you best of luck in the spring for most of your games. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I don't think I have you guys on the schedule, but if you guys want to come out, we can always get you a few games.
Yeah, I'm, knock on wood, I'm supposed to graduate in December, so I don't think I'll even be on the team by then, but try to make as many games post graduation as possible. So
Right on. Well, congratulations. Graduating is always huge, no matter when it happens.
yeah, 4.5 years. I can round down to 4.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, there's always grad school.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care and have a good night. We'll let
right.
you know what else you can do for us, or let us know if there's anything else we can do for you as well.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
You too. All right. Let me stop recording.